Tonight was not the night that the effort and the energy for my team that we needed to have. So I'm very disappointed in that. Forget anything else, statistics, whatever. We have a standard, and our intensity wasn't there. I felt like pace was more aggressive. Thought they brung it to us when we played in spurts. We played a little spurt, and then that was it. But I was very disappointed with our effort, very disappointed with our energy. Again, offensively, we weren't great tonight, but that happens. But our defense needs to be way better. I just thought we did some things that we, kind of off script that we didn't talk about. And, but that's what the preseason is for. But I wasn't very pleased with this effort at all. Forget anything else. I didn't feel my guys. I felt like we got punked a little bit, and I don't like that. And I expressed that with our team, and our energy level has to be better. We have to be able to come out and play with intensity, and people need to feel us when we play, and we didn't do that today.
Coach, just looking at the defense like you touched on, just what did you see from them that maybe you guys can improve on going into the regular season now?
Well, the one thing I would say we need to improve on is doing what we work on every day. We did some things that today that that's not what we worked on. So again, I think we can start with that. I didn't think our ball pressure was good. I didn't think we kept people in front of us at times. I didn't think we were in our gaps. It seemed like everything that we worked on for the whole summer just kind of went out the door. So we got to readdress that and trust, and do the things that we need to do defensively. Keeping people in front of us, staying in our gaps, pushing out, making people take contested shots.
Talk about the lack of intensity and energy. You subbed in 5 guys early in the game. Were you already feeling that lack of intensity from your starters?
Yeah, again, this team is, as you know, I think we have real depth. I think we can, bring people in, and, we're going to play, a bunch of guys. But at the time that I brought them in, we did need a little boost. I thought that first group, when they came in the second half, the second group, they gave us a little bit of a little spark. But, overall, it just fizzled. It was just like, 2 or 3 plays. Even the second half, we got a little bit of energy from our offense, and that can't be the case. We can't get energy from our offense, right? That doesn't work, right? We talked about that, right? Being able to, no matter what, play defense, right? We can't let our offense dictate our defense and our defensive energy, and I thought that's what happened tonight.
You talked about energy, and a guy that came in was Sadiq White. First time we've got to see him play. What did you see out of him tonight, and what have you seen out of him so far?
Yeah, I thought he had some flashes. Again, I still think he could have been better. But I thought, he was, he plays with that pop. You feel him. He's active. He's out there. I thought he did a really good job of, coming in and picking up his energy and flying around. A couple of miscues, but that happens. He's a freshman. But I like where Sadiq was at, as soon as he stepped on the court today.
Assuming you took halftime to get on these guys about your lack of effort, and it didn't really seem to happen in the second half until 5 or 6 minutes in, is that a sign for these guys that you can't just flip a switch and make it happen?
I think so, yeah. At the end of the day, new team, I try to tell these guys, we got to get better, and we got to come to play all the time. And again, I thought we just didn't have it tonight. I didn't like it. And again, we played, for about 6, 8, 9 minutes really. So we can't do that. But again, new team. Us still trying to figure out the combinations, who works with who. So it was a little bit of that as well, but that's not an excuse at all, because I believe all these guys step on the floor can make an impact, and they got some experience. So that's not an excuse. I know, people talked about that a couple of games ago about the different lineups. It's still not an excuse, So I believe in the team. I believe in that everyone that gets on the court can make an impact. I thought Soiree did an unbelievable job. He gave us a boost of energy at the end that really was a part of the separation. And that's what we need. We need we need everyone playing like that. All right, and we've had that. We've had that for the most part. It's just now we got to bring it into the games now.
Coach, you guys settled for a lot of bad shots in the first half. Second half, trying to get to the rim a lot more. Do you think that was kind of part of the effort problem of not working for the best shot, or do you think that it was just kind of a strategy thing?
No, I think we were standing. I don't think we were moving and cutting. We got the ball in the middle. We held on to the ball too much. The ball stuck. We got the ball in the first half, and we did take some bad shots. I thought the second half, I thought Kyan in particular did a good job of getting into the teeth of the defense, and then we started moving the ball a little bit. I thought Donnie got more aggressive in the second half as far as, attacking the basket. He took a couple early in the second half. He used his speed and his dribble when he got to the basket. So that was the difference. The first half, our offense for the whole night wasn't good. Wasn't good at all. We were out of sync. We took bad shots, uncharacteristic shots. So again, that's something that we'll continue to work on. But for me, for this team, our offense will be fine. It's really going to be the defensive side of the ball.
Coach, speaking of Kyan, what's something on or off the court that might be something that people overlook a little bit about him when it comes to his talent or work ethic that you can speak on?
Say that again.
What is something that is overlooked about Kyan as far as his skill level, either on or off the court?
Kyan is he's a very good player. I think people label him as a three-level scorer, which he can, but he can pass the ball. He can make plays. He has a very high IQ. He's starting to use his voice, which he can do because he knows what's going on. And I encourage him. Like anything, if you know what's going on, you can use your voice. So I think those are the things that people don't talk about. Things like that are very important to a team, right? Communication, chatter, being able to talk to people. Those are the things that we stress a lot. That communication, and he can do that.
Coach, JJ was someone that you looked to facilitate this offense a lot last year, and obviously you brought more guards in, and he's probably transitioning in his roles a little bit. What are your expectations for the role he plays on this team as the season progresses?
I expect JJ to, play both sides of the ball. He's one of the most talented guys, on our team and in the country. He's a guy that can really impact both sides of the ball. I think we still need him to be aggressive. I think he is, he's a guy that can, that can score, that can get in the lane, that can make plays. I just want him to be aggressive on both ends of the floor at all times. Pedal to the metal, like don't ease up, right? Do everything. He's a guy that can rebound. He's a guy that can get assists. He's a guy that can drive the ball. He's a guy that can defend and rebound. And that's what he has to start really focusing on instead of one thing, and not saying that he's doing that, but that's what I expect of him. He's a guy that can do a lot for us, and he's a big part of what we do. But I expect him to be, aggressive and dominant on both sides of the ball.
Didn't play tonight. How serious is his injury?
Luke will be fine.
Coach, I think you had 16 different lineup combinations tonight. Was there anyone in particular that stood out to you as excelling?
I thought the lineup towards those last two lineups at the end that kind of had the separation. I thought the lineup with a ski and mixing Donnie in and then Kai and Sadiq. We rotated those guys, and then when Nate King's guy came back in, he gave us a little shot. Hit a big three and drove it a couple of times. So I thought he got kind of into the flow of things. So probably those last 2 or 3 combinations that I thought that got the lead separated. That was a good group.
Time for one more.
Red, what do you feel confident about going into your third season as head coach? And maybe you learned from the first 2 runs about a long season, managing the ups and downs, and just everything that goes into the job.
I think patience and perspective. Right, these are 2 preseason games with a new team. So it's not like, I'm jumping off the cliff, it's 2 games. I think it's some other things that factor in to this when you have a new team. We still working out some kinks. We still working out some things. But I'm very confident in what we're doing. I'm very confident in this group of guys. And I'm excited, when it all comes together. This is still going to be an exciting year. That's no doubt about it. Again, no one no one has, no one plays perfect, but this team is talented. We just got to work out the kinks. This is the first time some of these guys it's the first time for most of these guys playing here tonight, So I can imagine there's probably a little bit of nerves, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of all that stuff, but, we got that behind us now. So we'll be ready to play on Monday.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.